Angelina Jolie, one of the most famous actresses in the world, once spent hours practicing with sharp daggers, throwing them into the air and catching them again, a risky hobby that few Hollywood stars would ever try. Why would a global movie star choose such a dangerous skill, and how did it become part of her life? Learn English with facts and fun. Listening, shadowing, main points on screen, and review at the end. Angelina Jolie was born on June 4, 1975, in Los Angeles, California. Her father, Jon Voight, was a well-known actor, and the world of film was always close to her life. Cameras, scripts, and movie sets were normal things during her childhood. Even so, early life was not always easy. Her parents separated when she was young, and her mother raised Angelina and her brother mostly on her own. Life in Los Angeles looked glamorous from the outside, but inside the home, things were often quiet and serious. During school years, Angelina sometimes felt like an outsider. She loved films, but she also had unusual interests. Instead of only following trends, she explored strange hobbies and ideas that made her stand out from other teenagers. One of those interests began earlier than many people realize. Around the age of 11 or 12, Angelina started collecting knives. It was not about violence or danger. For her, the knives were objects with design, balance, and history. Different shapes, different metals, and different styles caught her attention. Some came from antique stores, while others came from markets during trips with family. Over time, the collection slowly grew. Handling knives also taught her something important: respect for the tool. Balance, weight, and control mattered a lot. A small mistake could cause harm, so careful movement became a habit. At that time, nobody imagined this strange hobby would later help her career in film. As Angelina grew older, she began to study acting seriously. She attended the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute, where students trained in performance and emotional expression. Acting classes were intense, and many young actors struggled to find their place. Early roles in movies did not bring instant success. Some films failed, and critics sometimes questioned her style. Yet she continued to work, moving from one project to another. In 1999, everything changed. Her role in the film Girl, Interrupted, brought major attention, and she won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Suddenly, Hollywood saw her differently. More opportunities appeared, and one project in particular would push her toward a skill that almost nobody expected. In the late 1990s, producers started preparing a film based on a popular video game, Tomb Raider. The main character, Lara Croft, was a fearless explorer who traveled the world, solved mysteries, and faced danger with confidence. The role demanded more than normal acting. The actor needed to run, climb, fight, and handle weapons with believable control. When Angelina Jolie was chosen for the role, training began immediately. Her schedule quickly filled with physical preparation. She learned martial arts, practiced stunt work, and trained with weapons experts. Strength, balance, and coordination became part of her daily routine. Then, something interesting happened. The old hobby from her childhood suddenly became useful. Because she had spent years around knives, Angelina already understood their balance and movement. This background helped her learn throwing techniques faster than many beginners. During training sessions, stunt coordinators introduced exercises that involved tossing knives and catching them safely. The purpose was not to perform circus tricks, but to build hand control and timing. Still, the skill looked dramatic. Observers sometimes saw her flipping a knife in the air, catching the handle smoothly, and preparing for another movement. Practice happened again and again until every action felt natural. But learning these skills was not simple. Film training often requires long hours and constant repetition. Actors repeat the same movement dozens of times until it looks effortless on camera. Angelina approached the process with focus. Mistakes meant stopping, adjusting, and starting again. Each small improvement built confidence. Safety remained the top priority. Real weapons demand serious attention, and professional trainers always supervised the exercises. Even with careful preparation, the training could feel intense. At one point, Angelina mentioned in interviews that she had grown comfortable handling knives because of her early interest in collecting them. What began as curiosity had quietly shaped her coordination. The connection surprised many fans. Most people knew her as a dramatic actress, someone who delivered emotional performances on screen. Few imagined she might also enjoy practicing with blades. Yet, this unusual skill matched the character of Lara Croft very well. When Tomb Raider finally reached theaters in 2001, audiences saw a hero who moved with confidence and precision. Action scenes required quick movements, controlled gestures, and realistic reactions. Many of those moments came from weeks of training behind the scenes. The film became a commercial success and introduced Angelina Jolie to an even larger audience. Posters, interviews, and magazine covers appeared everywhere. But behind the fame, she remained someone with unusual hobbies. Away from the cameras, Angelina continued to show interest in historical weapons and cultural objects. Travel around the world exposed her to many traditions, and curiosity often guided her choices. During visits to different countries, markets, and antique shops sometimes offered new items for her collection. Each object carried a story about craftsmanship and culture. Still, knives were never treated as toys. Responsibility always came first. Professionals who work with weapons understand strict rules, and film sets follow clear safety procedures. Angelina often emphasized that training with weapons requires discipline. Movies may make action look easy, but careful preparation stands behind every scene. Yet one moment from her life still surprises many people. During demonstrations and practice sessions, she occasionally showed the ability to toss a knife lightly into the air and catch it with calm control. The movement looked simple, but it demanded precise timing. Such moments reminded observers of a performer practicing with juggling tools. For a Hollywood star, the image felt unusual. Most actors prepare by memorizing lines or studying characters. Learning to control a flying blade is not part of the normal routine. However, Angelina Jolie has rarely followed a predictable path. Her career moved through many different roles, from intense dramas to major action films. Characters often carried emotional depth, while physical scenes added another challenge. Beyond acting, she also became known for humanitarian work. Travel with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees brought her to refugee camps and conflict regions around the world. There, cameras were less important than listening to people and sharing their stories. This work showed another side of her life. The contrast surprised many observers. One moment, she appeared in an action film performing complex stunts. The next moment, she stood in a quiet camp, speaking with families who had lost their homes. Both worlds required courage in different ways. Through the years, Angelina Jolie also stepped behind the camera as a director. Films such as In the Land of Blood and Honey and Unbroken showed her interest in serious historical stories. Directing demanded patience, leadership, and clear vision. Instead of performing in front of the lens, she guided the entire production. Even with these responsibilities, the image of her unusual hobby never fully disappeared. Stories about her knife collection and weapon training often appear in interviews and articles. Journalists remain curious about the mix of elegance and danger connected to that interest. For some fans, the idea feels almost symbolic. A dagger is a tool that requires balance, focus, and respect. In many ways, those same qualities appear in Angelina Jolie's career. Balancing fame with personal life has never been simple. Public attention follows every decision, every role, and every interview. Yet she has continued to move forward, sometimes taking risks, sometimes choosing unexpected paths. And perhaps that explains the fascination with her knife practice. Handling a sharp object in motion demands attention to the present moment. The hand must stay steady, the eyes must stay alert, and the mind must remain calm. Lose focus for even a second, and the result could be dangerous. In a strange way, the same principle applies to life in the public eye. Every action receives attention. Every word may appear in headlines. Maintaining balance becomes essential. Angelina Jolie's story shows how unusual interests can shape a person's path in surprising ways. A childhood curiosity about knives eventually helped her prepare for one of the biggest action roles in Hollywood. What once looked like an odd hobby became a practical skill. And behind the dramatic image of daggers in the air stands something simpler: discipline, practice, and respect for the craft. Stories like this remind us that famous lives are often more complex than they appear on screen. Let's quickly review. Sound good? Separate. To stop living together as a couple. Her parents decided to separate after many arguments. Outsider. A person who feels not accepted in a group. At school, he felt like an outsider. Stand out. To be different and easy to notice. Her bright dress made her stand out in the crowd. Antique store, a shop that sells old valuable objects. They bought an old clock from an antique store. Instant success. Success that happens immediately. The new app was an instant success. Push toward, to move someone closer to a goal. The coach pushed her toward a new challenge. Fearless, not afraid of danger. The fearless climber reached the top alone. Routine, usual way of doing things regularly. Exercise is part of her daily routine. Throw technique, a specific way to throw something. He practiced a new throw technique in training. Effortless, done easily without showing difficulty. She made the difficult dance look effortless. Behind the scenes, happening privately, not seen by the public. A lot of work happens behind the scenes. Emphasize, to give special importance to something. The teacher emphasized the need for practice. Rarely, not often. We rarely eat fast food during the week. Step behind the camera, to work as a director instead of an actor. After years of acting, she stepped behind the camera, maintain, to keep something at the same level. It is hard to maintain good habits. Come across, to seem in a certain way to others. He comes across as confident in meetings. If you enjoy discovering real stories like this one, from unusual hobbies to surprising moments in history and even real crime cases, consider joining this channel. Each episode explores fascinating facts and powerful human stories while helping you build stronger and more natural English. Subscribe and stay with us for the next story waiting to be told.